Hello everyone, I'm Prince Eric and welcome back to on World of Warships. Now, in today's episode, we're gonna make it out something discussions and reviews on the close test 14.1 that I never watched on the Twitch live stream on World of Warships by approximately midnight in Philippine Standard Time. Now, accordingly, the latest devblog information about this right now. So please check it out in the link in the description below. About something the close test 14.1 is about a new ships and as well as for the upcoming events took on the update 14.1 to be released on February 2025. Okay, so let's start on for a new ships. And before at the start of the beat, before I'm going to make it discuss, be sure to don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell on the notification icon. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so close test 14.1 new ships. Okay, the dev blog was posted about on January 2, 2025, 1902 hours. Universal time coordinate that was posted on in the Philippines was 2 a.m. in the midnight. Yes. It was on the next day, January 3. Okay, it's our favorite time of the month again. Let's take a look at the newest ships to be added for testing to World of Warships. Some basically which is going to be the upcoming super ships as well as a ship based from a real life ships before and during the Second World War, and some hypothetical ships that was never built in the dockyard but only exist in the blueprints took out to something goes on around the world, right? And really wanted to make it explore for this. Okay, so let's start off for German super destroyer C-57. Okay, a large destroyer with powerful artillery armament based on one of the last unreleased designs developed by the Kriegsmarine Nazi Germany, the Type 1945 destroyer. Okay, so Z-57 is based on Type 1945 destroyers in which the ship was never built during the Germany's wartime. In our game, she receives a designation type typical for Kriegsmarine destroyers. C stands for Sistorer, while 57 is a whole number referring to the fact that the last destroyer ordered by Kriegsmarine had the number 56. Following Z-52, Z-57 is the ultimate conclusion of the line. That is coming from the previous one is the top tier German destroyer Z-52 with a Hydro. She receives an extra turret for the main battery of 4 twin 128mm cannons as well as an extra torpedo tube per launcher, being able to put out 10 fish in the water. Historically, they were used of quadruple torpedo tube launchers. She retains all the traditional strengths of her line. Good HE penetration allows her to apply damage to heavy targets, while AP damage means broadsiding ships will feel the hurt. While German torpedoes may not have the highest damage, a good blend of reload time, range, speed, and detection makes her torpedoes a very capable secondary armament. For her consumable, just like its predecessor, C-57 is much the same as her predecessor with access to smoke generator and engine boost. However, her hydroacoustic surge has an improved ship detection range of 7 kilometers, allowing C-57 to detect enemy destroyers or enemy torpedoes without being spotted in return. And just like that about the German super battleship Hanover with a hydroacoustic surge range, is about 47 kilometers. But it's usual for the example though, the detection of the ships for example on Hanover is about 6 kilometers. Then the detection of torpedoes is 4 kilometers. Okay, so let's continue. In battle, captains who play through the tech tree will find a C-57 a comfortable upgrade. The combination smoke generator and her improved hydroacoustic surge makes her a fearsome cap contester. Use her guns to bully out other cap contesting DDs, and her concealment to avoid direct fights with dedicated gunboats such as Sorky. Make sure to keep an eye out on radar cruisers on the enemy and your own friendly support. Lack of repair party means that taking a bad engagement can end your match quickly. Okay, unlike its predecessor Save 57, the Save 52, the Save 57 has a direct upgrade on it. Having a hydroacoustic surge is about 7 km range. On statistically, this is going to be a special one. Like on other German ships is Hanover and Clausewitz. Now for specifications about the Save 57. Hit points is a 22,200, plating 19mm, main battery is about 4x2 128mm, fire range 12.8 km, HE shell damage 1500, chances of crossfire 7%, and initial velocity 830 meters per second. The AP shell damage is 3000. The AP initial velocity is the same. Reload time is a 4.1 seconds. The sigma is about 2.0. Maximum dispersion 111 meters. And 180 degree turn time is about 10 seconds. Now for depth charges, the maximum damage will be 2400. Number of the charges will be 2. Bombs in the charge only 18. The reload time is about 40 seconds. Now for the torpedo tubes, we got 2x5 533mm. Maximum damage is about 15,600. Range is about 12 kilometers. Speed 69 knots. Reload time 90 seconds. Launcher 180 degree turn time 7.2 seconds. Torpedo detectability 1.4 kilometer. Now for AA defenses consist 4x2 128mm, 6x4 13mm, and 4x1 55mm. The AA defense short range continuous damage per second 180 seats. The mid range is about 120 seats, and the long range is about 74. The number of explosions in the salvo will be a 4. The damage within the explosion 1680. The action zone will be 3.5 to 5.8 kilometers. The maximum speed is about 39 knots, turning circle radius 740 meters, rudder shift time 4.8 seconds, surface detectability 7.7 kilometers, air detectability 3.8 kilometers, and detectability after firing main guns and smoke will be 3 kilometers. Her consumables is gonna be the same as usual like its predecessor, Save 52. The first slot will be damage control party, unlimited charges, smoke generator. The second slot, engine boost, we got the third slot, and hydroacoustic surge on the fourth slot. But it comes a special ability for this. All stats are listed without crew and upgrade modifiers, but with the best available modules. The stats are subject to change during the testing. Okay, the next one is a tier 9 Japanese cruiser Suzuya. Okay, Suzuya is a member of the Mogami class cruisers. Initially thought that was a light turning into the heavy. Suzuya is named after a river located in the Kalafuto prefecture that was a modern day the Sakhalin Oblast in Russia. Suzuya was the third ship in the Mogami class series. Unique ships originally built as light cruisers, but later converted to heavy ones. In the game, Suzuya is presented in her original configuration with 15 155mm guns as a main battery. Suzuya participated in many major campaigns of World War II, including the Indian Ocean Raid and the Battle of Midway, and she was sunk in the Battle of Samar on October 25, 1944, that was a part of the Battle of the later Gulf. Good news for those who enjoy Mogami's stock gun configuration. Suzuya brings the heat the 15 gun main battery to tier 9, which is going to be a similar like her sister ship Mogami to be part of the tech tree. As part of her upgrade, her main battery features a faster reload and improved range, making her a fearsome gunfighter, while she retains a torpedo armament typical for a Mogami class cruiser. A very long reload time makes these distinctly secondary to her main battery. Additionally, captains experienced with Mogami will recognize typical weaknesses. A vulnerable hull, long turret traverse times, and mediocre fighting angles mean Suzuya required an experienced hand at the helm to keep her alive in high-tier battles. For consumables, Suzuya features a fast cooldown repair party, choice between the defensive AA-5 or hydroacoustic surge, catapult fighter, and to top it all off, the main battery reload booster. In the game, Suzuya thrives on long-range gunfights, where maneuverability can compensate for her weak hull. Her high damage per minute and fire chance ensures that enemies will be left burning under the weight of her HE shells, as long as she can avoid return fire. Using her main battery reloads to consumable to set permanent fires on enemies that have already used the damage control party, or punish enemy destroyers who stray too close. Clever captains can additionally make use smoke or iron cover to arc her 155mm shells for safety. Keep an eye out for good position and communicate with friendly destroyer. Okay, so unlike her sister ship Mogami, this is going to be a Japanese light cruiser Suzuya. Okay, so I want to talk about the Suzuya though, based on the accuracy of it. Okay, so here we are for the Japanese light cruiser Mogami. Okay, now the hit points is usually the same, but it's not the same. 39,000. Plating is about 25mm. Fire duration is about 30 seconds. Torpedo protection will be the 16%, same as much like the Tech 3 counterpart. Main battery will be a 5x3 155mm. The fire range is 16.5 kilometers. So the HE shell damage is about 2,600. HE shell armor penetration 31mm. Chances of cross fire 10%, and initial velocity 925 meters per second. The AP shell damage is about 3,300, and initial velocity is the same. But in contrast about the Tech 3 counterpart, Mogami is usually not quite bit up too close. The HE is going to be the same, and you know about the ammunition of the Suzuya and Mogami is the same. It's the same though. The reload time is 9.2 seconds. That is a premium against the Mogami's 10 seconds reload time. 180-degree turn time is 36 seconds. Although Mogami for that is the lowest one. Maximum dispersion 147 meters. Sigma is about 2.05. But Mogami though is the lowest ones of the dispersion, having 131mm. Against her sister ship is the highest 147 meters. Okay, so airstrikes is gonna be using the depth charges. The reload time is about 30 seconds. Available flight we got a 2. Number of aircraft in attacking flight will be the 1. The maximum range is 7 kilometers. And the number of bombs in payload will be 2. The bomb damage is about 4,200. Although is a same configuration like her sister ship Mogami. Now for torpedo tubes we got 4x3 610mm. The maximum damage 20,967. Range is 10 kilometers. Speed 67 knots. Reload time 180 seconds. Launcher 180-degree turn time 7.2 seconds. And torpedo detectability 1.7 kilometers. However, it's the highest torpedo tube. It's the highest damage for Suzuya. Unlike Mogami though, the torpedo tubes we got 17,233 as the highest torpedo speed for that rather than for the Tech 3 counterpart. The reload time is going to be is 180 seconds. That was a slowest one. Unlike Mogami though, it's a 101 seconds. The launcher. Okay, so torpedo detectability is 1.7 kilometers, but it's the highest detectability. Unlike sister ship is going to be a 1.6 kilometers so far. But the range for that is the same. Okay. So the next one is the secondary armament. Okay, so secondary armament is going to be 4x2 127mm, about 7 kilometers. Same as usual like her sister ship. The HE shell damage 2,100. Chances crossfire 8%. and initial velocity 725 meters per second. But the difference is the Suzuya has 8% chance of fire. The highest was a Mogami, having 9% chance of causing fire. The initial velocity is the same, actually shell damage is the same. Now for AA defenses, we got a 4x2 25mm, 4x2 127mm gun, and a 2x2 13.2mm. Now for AA defense, short range is about damage per second 43. AA defense's long range is about 60 seconds. Hit probability 90% for long range. The short range is about hit probability 85%. The action zone will be 2.5 kilometers for short and the 5.8 kilometer for a long range. Usually for that AA defenses is very similar like the Mogami though. So I don't want an explanation entirely for this. The maximum speed is 35 knots, turning circle radius 760 meters per second, rudder shift time 7.1 seconds, surface detectability 12.6 kilometers, air detectability 7.2 kilometers, and detectability after firing main guns of smoke 6.5 kilometers. Usually it's the same maximum speed unlike the Mogami though, but the difference is the highest was a Suzuya. Mogami though is having a 750 meter turning circle radius. The rudder shift time is a lowest 5.7 seconds with a direct upgrade though, but Suzuya though without having upgrade is 7.1 seconds. Now for surface detectability 12.6 kilometers without using the commander skills and mounting upgrades. It's going to be 12.7 kilometers. With an upgrade though, it's going to be the same as much like Mogami though. The air detectability is the rest of them. Okay, for some consumables, like consumables for that her sister ship, otherwise we'll do it the same. Now, for the first slot is going to be damage control party. The second slot is exchange differences between the defensive AA5 and Hydro QC search. The third slot is repair party. The fourth, the main battery yield booster, and the fifth slot is a catapult fighter. However, though, is not included for the submarine surveillance consumable. But this is a premium ship. Just wanted to do so ever further. Okay, so let's go up the next ship to be discussed. Okay, so the next one is the German heavy cruiser Blucher. Okay, so let's start off differences between this sister ship counterpart, Admiral Hipper. Okay, so a heavy cruiser of the Admiral Hipper class, the second ship in the series. She was named after the Prussian Field Marshal Gebhard von Blucher. His nickname was Marshal Forwards, or English call it Marshal Forwards, for his aggressive leadership during the Napoleonic Wars on the Sixth Coalition. Blucher was among the main participants in the German invasion of Norway, Denmark in 1940. As the flagship of the squadron intended to capture Oslo, the main capital of Norway, the cruiser was sunk in the battle with Norwegian coastal fortifications April 9, 1940. We know that as the Battle of Drobak Sound. Similar to her sister ships, Blucher has a typical heavy cruiser armament of 4 203mm guns to give her extra punch at tier 9. Her main battery features destroyer level dispersion and highly improved AP shells. Blucher's AP bows improve ricochet angles, shorter fuse time, higher penetration, and flatter ballistics, making her a dangerous opponent for enemy cruisers. In terms of consumables, Blucher has access to a typical loadout of a standard repair party, a choice between defensive AA5 and improved Hydro QC search with 6 km range, and a choice of catapult fighter or spotting aircraft. Blucher's gameplay is that of a broadside hunter. Her improved AP will make short walker enemies who make even minor mistakes with their angle. When enemies angle properly, her HE shells act as a decent fallback due to the typical German improved penetration, but damage output will be somewhat lacking. Against battleships, Brooker will perform best at medium to long range, where she can put her improved ballistics to work and utilize her accuracy to drop shells directly into enemy superstructure. Okay, let's talk about the specifications of the German heavy cruiser Blucher with her sister ship, the Admiral Hipper. Okay, survivability is hit points 45,300. The highest hit points for that against her sister ship Admiral Hipper is 43,800. Plating 27mm, same. Fire duration is about 30 seconds. Torpedo protection 10%, same as usual. Main battery we've got of okay, so the main battery we got 4x2, 203mm. Flying range is 18.5 kilometers. The highest of this fighting range, unlike her sister ship Hipper, is 17.7 kilometers. HE shell damage 2500, HE shell armor penetration 51mm, chances of crossfire 30%, and initial velocity 925 meters per second. The AP shell damage is 5900, and initial AP initial velocity is the same. However, this is going to be a contrast, but same as much similar like her sister ship. The is gonna be the same, you know. The reload time is 10 seconds, 180-degree turn time 18 seconds, maximum dispersion 154 meters, sigma is 2.05. The difference is the Blucher was the lowest reload time, unlike her sister ship Admiral Hipper was the highest though. Dispersion though is gonna be 154 millimeters is the higher, rather than the Hipper is 144 millimeters. Okay, some airstrikes is going to be the reload time is 30 seconds, available flights 2, number of aircraft in attacking flight will be 1, maximum range 7 kilometers, number of bombs in payload will be 2, and the bomb damage is 4,200. However, is usually the same as much like her sister ship. Now for torpedo tubes, we got 4x3, 533mm, maximum damage 13,700, range is 8 kilometers, speed 60 knots, reload time 80 seconds, launcher 180-degree turn time 7.2 seconds, and torpedo detectability 1.3 kilometer. However, is usually the same, but her reload time is about her sister ship Hipper 68 seconds. The Blucher is the highest of them, having 80 seconds. The highest of that of Blucher is a launcher 180-degree turn time 7.2 seconds. Her sister ship though is as the lowest one is 6 seconds. The torpedo detectability is the same as usual. Now for secondary armament, got 6x2 105mm, range is about 8 kilometers. HE shell damage 1200, chances of crossfire 5%, HE initial velocity 900 meters per second. Okay, so this is gonna be the same as usual, but the highest though is the chance of fire was Admiral Hipper though is having 6%, rather than against her sister ship Blucher is about a 5%. The initial velocity is the same. Now for some air defenses, we got 8x1 20mm, 6x2 37mm, and a 6x2 105mm. The air defense short range continued damage with speed, second 60, mid range is about 32, and the long range is a 140. The hit probability on the short is 85%, and action zone will be 2 kilometers. The mid range is about the hit probability 90%, and the action zone will be 3.5 kilometers. And the long range thought about hit probability 90%. Zone will be 5.2 kilometers. However, it's the same as usual like her sister ship Admiral Hipper, but thus her differences is the same. Number of explosions in the salvo, we got 6, damage within explosion 1470, and the action zone will be 3.5 to 5.2 kilometers. Those A defenses of Blucher is the same as usual like for Hipper. Now for maximum speed we got 32.8 knots, 30-second radius, 740 meters, rudder shift time 9.2 seconds, surface detectability 13.8 kilometers, air detectability 7.2 kilometers, and detectability after firing main guns or smoke 8.5 kilometers. But it's going to be the same. But the rudder shift time though about Blucher was our lowest, 9.2 seconds against the same as usual. Having without a mounted upgrade. So example, if the Blucher with mounted upgrade using the steering gears mod 1, which is the example though, having reducing the rudder shift time is 7.4 seconds. Meaning is usually the same for that in this specification. Surface detectability we got 13.8 kilometers, air detectability 7.2 kilometers, and which is going to be without an upgrade. With an upgrade though is preferred usually the same thing. Same thing like for Admiral Hipper. With the upgrade though is having 11.2 kilometers. The range by air is about 5.8 kilometers. And detectability though is going to be is the same though. Some of these available consumables are the following. Having her sister ship Admiral Hipper, but instead there's gonna be a more topic. The first slot, you got damage control party has unlimited charges. The repair party, Hydrocu's research, that can only be exchanged with a defensive air fighter. The fourth slot occupies the catapult fighter and the spotting aircraft. Okay, so let's move on for the next topic. Okay, next one is going to be Italian destroyer Alberico da Barbiano. Okay, let's gonna see what's on the topic for this about this top tier Italian destroyer. Okay, the ship comes after the name of the Italian Condottieri. Okay, so she's a member of the historical Alberto di Gisano class cruiser. That ship names after the Italian Condottieri, one of the Alberto di Gisano class cruiser, converted into a fast anti-aircraft ship in accordance with the unreleased project developed in 1938. The main feature proposed modernization was replacing 152mm main battery with 16 19mm heavy anti-aircraft guns. The project was never carried out, and Alberico da Barbiano was sunk in December 1941 during the Battle of Cape Bon in her original configuration as a light cruiser. Classified as a destroyer in water warships, Alberico is the largest one yet, with a unique main battery 16 19mm guns and no torpedoes, with access to only sap shells. She features extremely high damage per minute with a reasonable shell penetration of 26mm, allowing her to damage enemy destroyers, most cruisers, and battleship superstructure. Access to alternative fighting mode gives Alberico even more flexibility against heavier targets, with improved shell penetration of 34mm. At the cost of the longer reload time, in terms of survivability, a high hit point pool and fast speed allows Alberico to take a few punches, but her huge size, poor maneuverability, and terrible concealment for a destroyer means enemies with good aim will be able to punish her. Rounding out her arsenal, Alberico has access to the traditional Italian exhaust smoke generator and unique engine boost console, with a rather short action time, but with a bigger bonus to speed similar to French destroyers. In battle, Alberico is a dangerous gunboat, able to get into position quickly and apply extreme danger per minute from medium range. Careless cruisers and battleships who don't pay enough respect will soon find their hit points stripped away, while a soft smoke generator and engine boost give Alberico the tools to disengage from unfavorable combat when caught out. Be sure to keep track of enemy destroyers, as a surprise torpedo strike can send Alberico to the bottom due to her poor maneuverability, and contesting them directly will be difficult due to her bad concealment. Remember to communicate with your teammates. Playing in tandem with a friendly destroyer can mitigate these weaknesses. So the top tier Italian destroyer Alberico da Barbiano. Okay, so the hit points is about 32,100, plating 19 millimeter. Main battery will be 16 by 1, 19 millimeter. Firing range 11.4 kilometers. Sap shell damage 2000. Sap shell armor penetration 26 millimeter, and sap initial velocity 860 meters per second. Reload time 3.8 seconds. 180 degree turn time 12.9 seconds. Maximum dispersion 100 meters. Sigma is going to be 2.0. The burst fire, we got a main reload time 4.7 seconds. The burst interval 1.0 caliber. The shots indicated will be the single ones. The maximum sap shell damage will be the same. The shell armor penetration is the same, and the initial velocity is also the same. Deck charges, we got maximum damage 3,200. Number of charges will be 2. Bombs in the charge will be 10. The reload time is about 40 seconds. Air defenses, we got 10 by 2, 20 millimeter, and 16 by 1, 19 millimeter. Air defense short range, continuous damage per second 81. Air defenses long range, continuous damage per second 207. Number of explosion in the salvo will be 8. Damage within the explosion 1,330, and action zone from 3.5 to 4.6 kilometers. Hit probability on the short 95%, and the action zone will be 2 kilometers. For the long range though, is hit probability 100%. The action zone will be 4.6 kilometers. Maximum speed 39.6 knots. Turning circle radius is about 880 meters. Rudder shift time 6 seconds. Surface detectability 9.8 kilometers. Air detectability 4.6 kilometers. And detectability after firing main gun to smoke will be 3.5 kilometers. Some consumables are available for that. The first slot, damage control party for unlimited charges, a soft smoke generator, and an engine boost. Okay, so let's talk about the Alberico da Barbiano. It's just like the sister ship of Alberto di Gisaro, but it was converted into a destroyer though. But the developing modernization project was never carried out. And the ship though was sunk in December 1941 though. Is a very compliment. Very worse for this. Okay, so let's not talk about in history. But in the game we talk about a classified destroyer with a torpedo, but with a 90mm with a burst fire. Burst fire though is going to be is gonna feature in the ship. But be careful for that. It's gonna be long reload time after they use the burst fire though. The reload time, sorry, I don't want to say about this anything for that. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, the next one is a Commonwealth cruiser Gambia. Gambia, a member of the Fiji class light cruiser, or simply called in history was a Crown Colony class cruiser, was commissioned in 1942 and fought during World War II in the Indian and Pacific Oceans and European waters. From 1943 to 46, she saw service in the Royal New Zealand Navy. On September 2, 1945, HMNZS Gambia represented New Zealand at the Japanese surrender ceremony in Tokyo Bay. The ship is named after the British colony of Gambia, which is the modern-day country, the Gambia. Like her sister ship Fiji, Gambia is armed with a main battery of 4 triple 152mm turrets with 1 triple torpedo launcher per side. Unlike her sister, she has access to HE shells and longer main battery range, giving her more flexibility than Fiji. As a trade-off, Gambia's torpedoes have much lower range and a long reload, but high damage and fast speed still make a good weapon of last resort in close quarters. This ship also has improved depth charge airstrike, with parameters that are present on Commonwealth Tier 7 cruiser Uganda. With decent consumer and a consumable 2 bottles of short burst smoke generator, repair party, and a choice between hydroacutic search and defensive A5. Gambia has good survivability tools, but her low speed and weak armor will limit her open water fighting capability. In battle, Gambia can act as an excellent deterrent to enemy pushes, engage enemy ships distracted by your team, and make use of her short burst smoke generator when they turn their attention to you. Use your long main battery range to keep enemies at arm's reach, and be mindful of your smoke duration and cooldown. Gaining caught at close range or in the open water is a quick way to the bottom. Gambia's model is still under development, so for testing purposes, we are using another ship, Gambra, a clone of Fiji. The specifications of Gambia are the following, much like his sister ship Fiji. So let's talk about it. Okay, so let's start for this in this specification. The hit points is about 31,400, plating 60mm, fire duration will be 30 seconds, same as usual fight like Fiji itself. Main battery 4x3 152mm, fire range is about 15.3 kilometers. HE shell damage 2,300, HE shell armor penetration 25mm, chance of cards fired 12%, initial velocity 841 meters per second. Now for AP shell damage is 2,850 and in AP initial velocity 841 meters per second. Unlike Fiji though, the Fiji does not have an HE shell instead of using AP shells. Her highest damage is none other than Fiji's 3,100 rather than her sister ship Gambia is a 2,850. The initial velocity is doing the same. Reload time is about 8.8 seconds, 180 degree turn time 22.5 seconds, maximum dispersion 139, the sigma is 2.0. The differences between the reload time and the differences on those two is much gotta be comfortably. Fiji though, the reload time is the lowest one, rather than the Gambia's 8.8 seconds. The 180 degree turn time is the highest for Fiji, rather than the lowest for the Gambia. Maximum dispersion is the lowest for the Fiji, unlike his sister ship Gambia was the highest one. The airstrikes is going to be the reload time 25 seconds. Available flight will be only 3. Number of aircraft and attacking flight will be 1. Maximum range 8 kilometers. Number of bombs in payload will be 1. And the bomb damage is 2,700. Although that was not featured for that, instead they dropping depth charges coming from a plane though. Her sister ship Fiji meanwhile can drop in depth charges at the stern of the ship though. Now, instead of choosing between wide and narrow, we're going to talk about a torpedo. A torpedo tube, we got a 2x3 533mm. The maximum damage will be 17,500, range is 7 kilometers, speed 64 knots, reload time 110 seconds, launcher 180 degree turn time 7.2 seconds, and the torpedo detectability 1.3 kilometers. Instead of choosing between wide and narrow spreads, captains can choose to fire off individual torpedoes or expand the entire launcher at once. The differences between these torpedo tubes The maximum damage was the highest for the Gambia. The lowest ones is the Fiji. The range is gonna be much as higher than Fiji, unlike the 7 km for the Gambia. The speed though is the highest for the Gambia, which is the lowest was the Fiji, 61 knots. The reload time is the highest for the Gambia, unlike the Fiji though was the lowest, 72 seconds. Launcher 180-degree turn time is the highest for that, unlike the sister ship Gambia is the lowest for 6 seconds. Torpedo detectability is the same though. Now for secondary armor we got 4x2 102mm, range is about 5.6 kilometers. Okay, HE shell damage 1500, chassis cost 56%, HE initial velocity 811 meters per second. Although it is the same though, as much as like for Fiji itself. Now for the next one is the AA defenses, consists 2x4 40mm, the 10x2 20mm, 3x1 20mm, 4x2 102mm, and 2x2 40mm. Now for some AA defenses, short range continued damage per second on these parameters is gonna be much like the same as much as like Fiji though. The hit probability is always the same though, and the action zone time is gonna be the same as usual. Now for the number of explosions ensemble will be the 3, damage with an explosion 1260, the action zone 3.5 to 5.8 kilometers. Although it's the same as much as like for Fiji though. Maximum speed we got 31.5 knots, turning circle radius 600 meters per second, rudder shift time 8.6 seconds. Now the differences for that is the highest speed for the Fiji is 32.5 knots, or simply 33 knots, which is the highest speed for Fiji, unlike for Gambia though is 32 knots. Turning circle radius is much as higher for Fiji though, rather than the Gambia is 600 meters. Rudder shift time we got 8.6 seconds, unlike her sister ship for Fiji, with dismounting upgrades is much as usual for the same. For surface detectability 11.8 kilometers is the highest for the Gambia, unlike her sister ship Fiji is 11.2 kilometers was the lowest. Air detectability we got the same parameters. Detectability after firing main guns of smoke is the highest for that on Gambia, 5.8 kilometers, with her sister ship was that of 5.4 kilometers though. We got consumables on the following. Despite for that is having available for a repair party though on the British light cruisers in the territory. Now for the Gambia's consumables are the following. The damage control party for unlimited charges, hydroacoustic search, defensive AA fire consumable. The second slot we got an exchange between the hydroacoustic search and the defensive AA fire. Repair party on the third slot we got a short burst smoke generator, and the fifth slot catapult fighter. In the Fiji though, it has only consumable we got a smoke generator, spotting aircraft, and a catapult fighter, which is combined of these both, but can be exchanges for that, and usually preferred to the captains for making any time you would want to take a recommendations. All stats are listed without crew and upgrade modifiers. The stats are subject to change during the test. Now for the last but not least is a model for British submarine SEAL, the top tier. Previously announced in another DevBlog, we're now ready to show for some SEALs model. Okay, so this was concluded in the close test 14.1 for a new ships. If you wanted to see based on the close test 14.1 new ship store, You might gonna see right now in the historical data of that, link in the description below. For some, a Wikipedia article. I hope you find you may helping out with this. In the discussions for that sometime. Okay, so the next one was heading for the close test 14.1. We got a Lunar New Year, Remembrance of Means Past Adventure, and a unique historical Dutch commander. Update 14.1 is already almost here, and it's time to share what's coming to the game. It was posted on January 3, 2025 at 1900 hours. That means the Philippine Standard Time was on 3 or 2 a.m. approximately. So the answer was on the 2 was on the 3 a.m. midnight. Okay, so here are some contents. Remembrance of Means Past Adventure. A legendary admiral and explorer of the early Ming Dynasty, historical commander Zheng He commanded 7 massive trade expeditions. We commemorate his voyages with a 2-part adventure during updates 14.1 and 14.2. Complete special missions to earn the new Ming Legacy flag, the Zheng He's Voyages patch, and adventure tokens that can be used across multiple events in the armory. Active players will be able to get the new premium tier 9 Pan-Asian battleship Taihan for free. Among other team content, we added Commander Zhang He himself and the Chinese treasure ship permanent camouflage for Taihan. We will reveal the visuals of this permanent camouflage later. The Finest Hour collection and unique Dutch commander Konrad Helfrich. Konrad Helfrich was a Lieutenant Admiral of the Royal Netherlands Navy and the overall commander of Dutch naval forces in Southeast Asia during World War II. In the first stages of the Pacific War, he was one of the most successful Allied commanders in that theater. In September 1945, Helfrich had the honor of representing his country at the Japanese Instrument of Surrender ceremony in Tokyo Bay. With update 14.1, we are adding a new puzzle collection dedicated to this unique historical Dutch commander. The collection contains 60 elements, which you can earn via the Finest Hour containers and the Finest Hour bring-in containers. The Finest Hour containers will be available for adventure tokens that you can earn by completing Remembrance of Means past missions. Obtaining a total of 84 containers will guarantee finishing the collection. Players actively following the adventure will be able to earn enough the Finest Hour containers during update 14.1 to complete the collection. Note that you will have to choose how to spend earned adventure tokens since the amount available through the missions won't be enough to purchase both the unique Dutch commander and the new Pan-Asia Tier 9 battleship Taihan. You can get the Dutch commander in 14.1, but if you want to get Taihan for free, you'll have to wait until 14.2, when the second set of missions unlocks. Okay, so below you can check the tables with commanders' enhanced skills and talents. For aircraft carriers, we got Pilot Technician, we got plus 2% and 6% chance of rockets and bombs causing fires respectively instead of standard 1% and 5%. For battleships, Demolition Expert is having a 1.5% chance of main battery and secondary battery shells causing fires instead of standard 1%. For cruisers though is the same commander skill, is having a 1.5% chance and instead of the standard 1%. For destroyer though is using the same parameters much like the battleships and cruisers. For talents though is a ship a day health freak. The parameters are the following. It activates upon dealing 40,000 damages. Bonuses are 3.2% main battery shell damage to the total of 10% at max stats, plus 3.2% bomb damage to a total of 10% at max stats. Can be activated up to 3 times. Next one is the Fervor of Battle. The parameters is activates upon earning the Wither achievement. The bonuses are minus 10% main battery reload and minus 50% airstrike reload time. Can be activated once per battle. Finally, Pugnum Pro Pratia. It activates upon learning 50 bomb hits, using the Dutch cruisers on airstrikes. The bonuses are the following parameters. plus 1 maximum airstrike charge, plus 3 squadron aircraft on deck, and can be activated once per battle. Note, the original text here said the Putno Pro Patria talent could be activated up to 3 times per battle. This was a mistake. The talent can be activated only once per battle. Now for Finest Hour container, we got a 100% one time the Finest Hour collection some elements. Some of these premium containers are the following. Slot 1 we got a Finest Hour collection element. Slot 2 you will get chances for these. A 64% 13 rare economic bonuses of all types, the 35% 1.9 million credits, and a 1% Division provision, a Dutch Tier 8 premium light cruiser. The third slot though is the same as usual, like in its first slot. If you already have this event provision, you will instead receive 100,000 free XP. Now for content additions and changes. The update 14.1 also brings for that 2 new historical commanders with individual voiceovers, Yuchi Gong and Queen Shubao. Safe trip whenever you go commemorative flag. Menshan permanent camouflage for Jinan. This permanent camouflage will be revealed at a later date. New Italian commander Caterina Skorska with an individual voiceover. A new flag for Italian ships, Machiavelli's flag. Outmark incident patch. Also, when they release the update 14.1, we'll update the content of the following containers. Some of that, the updated Italian cruisers container content. And either for that, you should want it to check it out. So I will not gonna read this entirely. Okay, so I have to admit, the first slot we got 50,000 credits for 100% chance. Slot 2 though is the 3 common economic bonuses of one type, 20% chances for each type. 2,500 elite commander XP, 10% chances. 50,000 credits, we got 9.6% chances. One of the following ships we got Aquila, Giuseppe Verdi, Marco Polo or Roma, 0.39% chance. And Ferrante Gonzaga though is the 0.01% chance. The third slot is going to be the same as usual like its predecessor. If you already have all items from ship's group, you will instead receive 50,000 credits. Now for some premium containers you get increased high chances for that. In the second slot you will get depend for the ship as well as the Ferrante Gonzaga. Now for Captain Holdall's premium container contents are updated. Some of that is the historical commanders which is going to be added on. And now for some flags premium container content updated are the following, which is going to be updated for that. But I will not going to read it entirely. And now for the distant voyages premium container contents have been updated so far from the last year in the early access. Some of those recognized for that is the colorful regatta, French destroyers on early access, and some common Pan-American battleships. Now for some premium ship tier 6, premium ship tier 6 container and the elite container contents have been updated. We got some added contents like Sea Zhuanggu 14, Montcalm, Orion 44, Duplay, Ailey, and Canalius. For premium ship tier 7 containers have been the premium ship tier 7 container and the elite container contents. We got Scharnhorst 43, Jupiter 42, Rodney, Stone 43, Tashkent 39, and Francesco Ferruccio. For tier 8 premium ship container and the tier 8 premium ship elite container has been updated. We got an added on the following ships. We got Wiesbaden, Theseus, Tennessee, Shuque, Dmitry Posharsky, and Picardy. Now for tier 9 ship premium container and the tier 9 premium ship elite container contents have been updated. We got Victoria, Johnston, Tianjin, Guzman Mining, Chikuma II, Minigomo, Shuangwu, Churugi, Luchuan, Menchong, Som, and Navarin. Okay, so now that's all. Keep an eye out on our portal for the news as we draw closer to update 14.1. See you in the next devlog. Okay, so that's all concludes right now for the latest devblog update so far on the 14.1. So be sure I'm gonna check it out for that in the during of the update 14.0. We'll see up to this right now. Sorry, I have to admittedly mistaken because I'm very tentative for that as speechless. But I hope you enjoy my concern. So let's talk about something on announcements. Okay, so let's go back to the Nordishon. Okay, so let's check it out in the armory. We have it so far. We got a closing page on the update 13.11. Here we go. Okay, so I already got 61 festive certificates so far that I've collected, and we're ready to go something more of the Santa's mega gifts. Okay, so I have wanted to do something more promising. Here we are, we got 60 of them, 12 in total. But I have also wanted to get a golden gift premium container. So I will hope to see you right now in the last day of update 13.11 on Wednesday to see who open about the Santa's gift containers, including a golden gift one. I hope you enjoy about my latest video that happened for the World of Warships devblog that I was never watched on the World of Warships Twitch live stream on the midnight because I usually wanted to go on sleep because it's about the time, because it's a time zone though. It's a reason for that. Okay, that's it for now. I hope you enjoy about my video though. So please don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell notification icon. Also, for one thing, I made accidentally on the 8th day of the asymmetric battle on my that happened last night. It was deleted a few hours ago on the morning. It was such a mistake. But don't worry guys, we have to do it right now on Monday to play on with the asymmetric battles one last time before on its departure for the holiday. So we're going to see right now. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you see you in my next video. We'll see about that, and we're ready to take this opportunity for a year.